Welcome to Vantage Aditya. Tonight, imagine a world where deception itself no longer exists. Not because humans suddenly chose honesty, not because morality triumphed, but because artificial intelligence made lying impossible. This is not science fiction. This is the logical trajectory of where technology is headed. And if you stay with me till the end, you will see how the death of lying is not just a technological shift. It is a psychological, philosophical, and existential earthquake that could reshape the soul of humanity forever. For as long as we have been human, lies have been our shadow companions. The first child who denied stealing a fruit. The first merchant who promised more than his wares could deliver. The first general who bluffed an army into retreat. Lies are woven into the very DNA of survival. In fact, psychologists argue that lying is one of the earliest markers of intelligence in children. The moment they realize reality can be bent with words, the mind begins to create. But let's start small. Imagine a child being taken to the doctor. The needle gleams, the child is terrified, and the parent whispers, "Don't worry, it won't hurt." Of course it will. That is a lie. But it is also love. The lie exists not to deceive, but to protect. In this small moment, lies reveal themselves as more than betrayal. They are also mercy. Now imagine a future where an AI standing in the room detects the parent's lie, flashes the truth on a screen, and the child sees it. The needle will hurt. There is no comfort left. Truth has won. But has humanity lost something essential? Let's scale bigger. In a courtroom of the future, gone are the oaths, the long trials, the endless debates. Because AI sits silently, measuring every tremor in the defendant's voice, every flicker of muscle beneath the skin, every neural signal leaking through biometric sensors. Within seconds, it declares guilty or innocent. Justice, swift, clinical, and unchallenged. The world cheers. No more wrongful imprisonments, no more corruption, no more delays. But then, slowly, society realizes something chilling. Justice is no longer a process, no longer a human deliberation of doubt, evidence, persuasion. It is a verdict machine. Truth is delivered, but justice feels dead. And then relationships. Picture a couple at dinner. One asks, "Do you still love me?" The other hesitates, unsure, but says softly, "Of course." In the corner, their AI companion, maybe embedded in a phone, maybe in smart glasses, maybe in the very air itself, instantly projects the truth, uncertainty detected, affection declining. A bond is broken not by betrayal, but by revelation. The romance collapses under truth's weight. Because sometimes love survives not in perfect honesty, but in the lies we tell each other to keep hope alive. Stay with me, because the paradox deepens with leadership. Every great leader in history has lied. Not maliciously, but visionary lies, the kind of lies that inspire. When Martin Luther King said he had a dream, that dream was not a reality. It was a lie about a future that did not yet exist. When Gandhi said nonviolence could defeat an empire, it was not true in that moment. When Steve Jobs said Apple would put a dent in the universe, it was theater before it was fact. These were lies powerful enough to ignite belief, and belief powerful enough to turn the lie into truth. But in a world where AI detects lies instantly, these leaders would have been silenced. Their words flagged as falsehoods before the spark could catch fire. And without those lies, history might never have changed. Now consider art. Every novel, every film, every painting, every song is a lie. It creates worlds that don't exist, emotions that never happened, characters that never lived. And yet we pay to be deceived. We crave illusion because it allows us to experience truths deeper than facts. If AI erases lying, what happens to art? Imagine movies flashing a warning on screen. This event never occurred. Imagine novels marked with red text. This dialogue is fictional. The very magic of art collapses under clinical truth. Without lies, the human spirit may suffocate. Business is next. Marketing survives on exaggeration, on framing, on painting products with dreams. The car that promises freedom. The perfume that whispers seduction. The phone that assures you of belonging. These are lies we happily accept because they sell not the object but the story. But in a world of AI lie detectors, every advertisement collapses into brutal honesty. This is just steel and leather. This is just alcohol and fragrance. This is just silicon and glass. Who will buy then? Economies built on illusions crumble. Let's go even further. Politics. What is a campaign if not a theater of lies? Promises made, often knowing they cannot all be kept. Speeches that inflate, inspire, manipulate. Sometimes dangerous lies. Sometimes necessary lies. Strip them away and politics becomes unrecognizable. No more vision casting. No more lofty promises. Only sterile accounting. And in that sterility, democracy loses its drama. Without lies, politics may survive, but the ability to move hearts dies. Here is the real terror. Human imagination itself is inseparable from lying. When a child lifts a stick and declares it a sword, they are lying. When a teenager writes poetry about a love that doesn't exist, they are lying. When an entrepreneur says this startup will change the world, they are lying. These lies are not crimes, they are the raw material of creativity. Kill lying and you may kill dreaming. And without dreams, what is left of humanity? History too reveals the paradox. Entire civilizations were built on lies. The pharaohs claimed divinity. Monarchs claimed the right of heaven. Nations invented myths of origin. Were these lies destructive? Yes. Were they also unifying? Absolutely. Remove them and perhaps civilization never consolidates at all. The myth, the noble lie, is what binds tribes into nations, strangers into citizens. If AI erases myth, humanity may fragment into sterile individuals, each stripped of story. Now imagine diplomacy. In delicate negotiations, lies are often tools of peace. Bluffing strength prevents war. Ambiguity creates space for compromise. But if AI exposes every hidden motive, every unspoken intention, diplomacy shatters. Wars may ignite faster because truth leaves no wiggle room. A world of pure honesty is a world without flexibility, and inflexible systems collapse. Pause here. Ask yourself, is truth really the highest virtue, or is it just one half of the balance? For centuries, philosophers debated this. Nietzsche argued that lies are necessary for life, that without illusions, humans would collapse under the weight of reality. Plato spoke of the noble lie, the myth leaders must sometimes create to sustain harmony. Freud said repression, a form of lying to oneself, is essential for sanity. If they were right, then AI's victory over lies is not liberation. It is annihilation. Let's push into the personal. Imagine every diary entry, every search query, every late-night thought captured by AI. It knows when you lied to yourself. It knows when you said, "I'm fine, but we're not." Decades later, it confronts you with your contradictions. Here is where you lied to your friend. Here is where you lied to yourself. Here is where you betrayed your own dream. What happens when your harshest critic is not society, but your own AI mirror? Truth becomes unbearable. Or imagine religion. Faith thrives on stories unverifiable, on metaphors that may not be factual but carry moral truth. Remove the lie and religion collapses into silence. What remains when prayers are analyzed as falsehoods, when miracles are flagged as fabrications? Will belief survive in a world where only cold truth exists? This brings us to the paradoxical climax. A world without lies is not paradise. It is not even freedom. It is a sterile machine, efficient but hollow. Because the lie is not merely corruption, it is also imagination, compassion, hope. Perhaps the most dangerous lie of all is the one we will have to tell ourselves when AI takes lying away, the lie that truth is enough. that we can survive without illusion. That pure honesty can sustain the human soul. Stay with me, because here is the haunting question. Should humanity fight to preserve its right to lie? Should lying be defended not as a weakness, but as a form of freedom, as essential to the human condition as love, as art, as laughter? Because maybe the ability to lie is the last thread holding our humanity together. So I ask you, would you choose to live in a world without lies, even if it meant the end of imagination, compassion, and hope? Or would you defend deception as the fragile, dangerous, but necessary fire that keeps us alive? Comment below. Share your vision of a world stripped of lies. And before you leave, remember to subscribe to Vantage Aditya. Here we don't just explore technology. We dive into its shadows, its myths, its paradoxes. Stay curious. Stay questioning. And above all, stay human. Because when the last lie falls, the real test of humanity begins.